So we're on our way for part 2 of the Atlantic crossing.
The last episode is about the first part of our Atlantic crossing from Cape Verde to Barbados. In the beginning we just put on a little bit of sail, like 2 reefs in the main and the soul end, because there was 3.5-4 meters of waves. After 2 days we decided in the morning, when it was a little bit more quiet, to raise the spinnaker and tried everything with 2 reefs in the main, 3 reefs in the main, and then finally we decided to drop the main completely.
So Barbados straight ahead now.
After we dropped the mainsail, it was so easy to continue for the last, I think, 6 days, just with the heavy-duty spinnaker. It could handle squalls easily, and with winds above 18 knots, the speed is pretty good.
This is since we started with the spinnaker.
Then in the second part of the crossing, there are more and more squalls that you have to take into account. In the beginning they were 25, 28, 30 knots, then the next ones were 35 knots, and finally we had one with a little bit over 40 knots. The configuration that we sailed with was pretty good, even with, it was only 1 minute more than 40 knots. The spinnaker held very well. In the meantime, we made a good construction for a backstay of the mast, so that felt a lot better. And the spinnaker was so strong. It is a heavy fabric spinnaker and it just can handle a lot of wind.
When the squall is exactly on top of you, you don't see it on the radar, so it looked like it disappeared. But here the blue spot, that's exactly the squall that went just straight over us. Speed still on, not a problem yet, at least. Wind speed hasn't been above 23, apparent not above 13, so should be fine. And Marijke is clean again. And
no, I only cut my hair. I still have to wash it.
Oh. Oh. And you look amazing now already.
Wow.
Having more speed surfing off the waves is easy with every boat. But there's a lot of difference between a performance cat like the Ultramare, a light cat, and our last cat, because it's not stopping in the next wave. It continues a lot longer, so the surf continues a lot longer than on a heavier cat. And also the forces that you can feel on the rigging are a lot less, because the boat sort of glides over the water. Even though we supported it with both the halyard and the boom lift and the sheet in the back of the boat, we didn't feel good in squalls. So what we did after a while, you need a fixed point in the top of the mast and not a line that goes over a sheaf or a disc, I don't know what's the right word. But because we have a double halyard, one part of the halyard is fixed in the top of the mast. So we decided to make a knot in the halyard and hang the boom on the fixed part of this halyard. And from that moment on, it really felt good. We had a solid backstay and we were not afraid anymore about the rigging. And we just left the spinnaker on for the next days in a row, and we didn't have to do anything. The spinnaker that we have is 140 square meters and it can easily handle the squalls.
Here's a couple of squalls. Let us test it.
Even underneath, you can look through. Our instructor always told us, Case always told us, you don't look underneath the cloud anymore and don't go there by plane.
It's stopping everywhere.
We're having our mid-ocean celebration. Everybody's awake. We still have 4 miles to go, and we had our mid-ocean celebration Squall as well. When the spinnaker was still on to 34 knots. The base wind is around 20 knots all the time. Well, it depends of course whether we're surfing off a wave or not, or as you can see it went from 8 to 16 knots in just seconds, and then the apparent wind speed goes down. Michelle, thanks again for the apple juice. We left Calvados where it is for a moment, as we might have some additional squalls in the meantime, so I want to be a little bit little
Careful!
oh sorry, oh
Again? Oh my God. Are you doing it?
Proost darling! Thanks Chica! So we're halfway the ocean, in the middle of the night, and we think that we have another Lilo boat next to us. Doesn't reveal his name yet. We think it's Crazy Flavor. Trying to pass Crazy Flavor. Yeah, they have similar speed of course, but it seems like that he is using other sails, so it should be easier for him to fall whenever it's necessary. Still looks not as close as what Spec came before, on our way to Cape Verde.
No, this is better.
It's always Tina that likes to be really close to other boats.
Greatcircle, you should have 1.7 ETA in 1 minute, or you are even ahead, I think.
So Crazy Flavor jibed, and we'll see each other in Barbados. About 900 miles to go.
Even though the squalls are 35 knots sometimes, the apparent wind is not that high. Most of the time the apparent wind stayed between 10 and 15 knots, and sometimes it was a little bit above that, and I think only in 1 or 2 occasions it was for a minute above 20 knots, but that was very short.
Another sign that the squall is getting close is the sudden change in the wind direction. Bontekoning is in front of us. It's an arc vessel as well, a big one.
After a while you get used to the waves, but you realize that the boat is still moving a lot when you leave the oven door open and one wave just brings you out of balance and you have a hole in your leg. It is nice to have the tent in the back of the boat because we kept the doors open completely the whole trip, And when there are squalls or during the night, when you don't want to have the wind from the back in the cabin, you just close up the cockpit completely and then you have a very big living space still.
So lately we're doing days 250, 260 miles on average, and it's almost the same in VMG. So our average over the whole trip, as we started with the jib the first 2 days, is now up to 9.4.
We had one day with less winds, around 50 knots, but we decided to just leave the speed on because we are already saying 8 knots, so we are not going that fast, but actually we cannot complain about that speed. I think on a crossing like this, it is very important that you're comfortable, that you're not taking too many risks. You are with a small crew and an accident is very close by. Having this configuration with only the speed for us is perfect.
620 miles to go. Getting close. Our average speed overall is 9.4 knots.
In 6 days we did almost 1400 miles.
Yeah. No, more than 1400.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad. And then the first 2 days we were really careful with the jib.
Yeah, that was good. And we had to get a clearance in this configuration.
Yeah.
And we had to have trust, gain trust.
Yeah. The squalls are getting heavier. This one approached 40 knots. Oh, this one touched 40 knots.
Even though we were afraid that we would be alone on the ocean, our timing was pretty good when we left the Cape Verdes because in the meantime the Ark was one day ahead of us. So we caught up with a lot of boats on the way. There are so many boats on the ocean in this period of the year. So you don't feel alone at all.
All of a sudden Telefonica Black is behind us, which is kind of weird because they were in front of us, somewhere top 10 in the ARC list. They're an old IMOCA 70, 21 meters, 70 feet. Do you see them behind us? Ja, of er is kapot gegaan of...
dangerous, the job as a cameraman.
So fast. A little bit over 100 miles to go. We arrived together with Wildling and Surya.
In the end of the trip, we arrived with Surya and Wildling again, and so we had a small race. No, it's not a race, but we had we had fun to go to the end line. We passed Surya and Wildling, one from us, so that was really nice.
Good morning. It's the last morning at sea. We expect to arrive around sunset today in Barbados. Another Squall. That's Surya on our right hand side. But that's it's getting light, so let's look at it from outside.
You see 5 ones on the radar, you think, oh wow, this is a lot. But then in the light, when you look outside, you see that they are not very violent. So we could just continue our trip.
I haven't seen you laughing this loud in the last week.
He knows already?
Yeah, I have Joost on the VHF. But girls, first we have a serious thingy. We have 5 squalls coming right at us. Ik probeer er in ieder geval nog rechts vandaan te komen. Vind je dat nog de moeite waard of zullen we dat laten? Nou, die gaat echt langs ons heen. There's Wildling or Surya. They are with the main and the jib, so they can't go lower. So they have to make another tack as well. So we're arriving at Barbados. I'm not sure whether you can see it on the camera, but you see shining of land on the horizon. About 20 miles to go. Wildling is 10 miles in front of us there, and Surya 20 miles behind us. So we might even be able to check in today.
It is unbelievable. We did this Atlantic crossing in 9 days and a couple of hours. Of course, there are many boats that are a lot faster than us and that are extremely light. But what I think is really special is that we have all the luxury on board. We topped up the boat with all the luxury that we had on board of the lagoon also, like a dishwasher and a washing dryer machine and a genset and air conditioning. We absolutely have all the luxury, and then in combination with this speed, we are really happy with this boat. And then that's the beauty of this organized trip that we are doing with the Gliwo. There's Victor helping us in the harbor and helping us with checking in, and everything is arranged for us. The COVID test that we had to do, and all the papers are already there, so it's pretty easy.
Well, from now on, it's true that French people is going to be a bit more complicated. That's true.
I couldn't understand what you were saying.
You're French,
No, we're Dutch.
Friends, I don't have a memory.
Yeah, we can speak Dutch if you want.
So, and here are the guys who are going to test us for COVID.
We have some local fruit rum here, and then we have some local rum inside.
just caution, some of the fruit is actually seeded.
Okay.
Okay?
That's so sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And in the next episode, we are going to explore Barbados. And luckily, my son and his girlfriend are coming to visit us.